To be honest, I'm a little nervous, but I'm not here to tell you what I'm feeling. Instead, I would like to deliver the result of my group discussion. As you can see on the title, our topic today is textbook previewing. But before we jump into the materials, please let me introduce myself. My name is Olivia Anjani, the student of English Education Department, Singaperbangsa Karawang University. I'm here as a representative of my group, which consists of some members. That the member is Syafira Rahmawati, the second is Bunga Agita Firnawati, and the last is Debora Marlina. We are from Group 1 at Class 4A. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the materials. First of all, before we discuss into the detail of the topic, I'd like to ask you one question. Do you know what is textbook previewing? Well, previewing is a strategy that readers use to recall prior knowledge and to set a purpose for reading. It calls for readers to skim a text before reading, looking for various features and information that help as they return to read it in detail later. Well, that's about textbook previewing. Now, let's move on into the part of books. Well, the first part of the book is front cover. You know, front cover is a pure marketing. Have you ever had this feeling when you see a book sitting on a bookshelf in the bookstore? And the moment you see the cover and read the synopsis, you just knew you were going to love it. Well, that's the point. Talking about the purpose of front cover, at first glance, the front cover should clearly communicate what the book is about while grabbing the reader's attention and convincing them to inspect the back cover. Now, imagine that once you've completed your writing and editing and done your research, you are ready to get started on your cover design. Book cover design is comprised of text and image. In order to get the layout right, you need to think about the single message you want your cover design to communicate. What is the one feeling or idea you want to convey? Whatever message you decide to feature, make sure every element from color and image to typeface and text support it. Now let's talk about the book spine. In most bookstores, the book will be presented spinal. This is due to lack of shelf space to display all the books present. For this reason, the spine is the first thing that a potential buyer notices. Therefore, the spine should also attract the attention of readers, so they will take it off the shelf to view the front cover. Spines with image or other intriguing elements can increase your odds of being noticed. Now, let's talk about the parts of the book spine. The outside case of the binding, where all the pages are glued together. When a book is on the shelf, the spine is what faces upward. Typically, the spine will show the book's title, the author's name, and possibly an extension of the front cover image, or at least the background style. You can be really inventive with this. Some covers have images that wrap right around the spine to the back cover. Well, it's only a small bit of the book cover. The spine is definitely not something to forget. From the book spine, let's move to the back cover. Now that your front cover has convinced them that this is indeed a book worth looking into, you have to keep their focus. People go from the front cover to the back cover with the desire to be convinced that their gut reaction was correct, and then the content of the book will be as good as the cover. Right, now let's discuss about the front matter. The first is title page, the full title and author's name as they appear on the cover. The second is frontispieces, a decorative illustration or photo that appears on the page next to the title page typically goes on the left. The third is accolades, quotes from esteemed reviews and publication in praise of the book. This phrase often appears on the back cover as well. The fourth is copyright page, also called a colophon. The copyright page includes technical information about copyrights, edition dates, typeface, ISBN, as well as your publisher and printer. Usually appears on the reverse of the title page. The fifth is dedication page, a page where the author names the person or people to whom they dedicate their book and why. This typically comes after the copyright. Table of contents, a list of chapter headings and the page numbers where they began. The table of contents should list all major sections that follow it, both body and back matter. And the seventh is epigraph. Epigraph is a quote or excerpt that indicates the book's subject matter. The epigraph can be taken from another book, a poem, a song, or almost any source. It usually comes immediately before the first chapter. And the eighth is preface, an introduction written by the author. A preface relates how the book came into being or provides context for the current edition. And the last is foreword. Foreword is an introduction written by another person, usually a friend, a family, a member, or a scholar of the author's work. That's about the front matter. Right, now we move to the body matter. The first is prologue, a section just because the main story begins. A prologue aims to set the stage and introduce the reader. Indeed, many prologues contain introducing events that only become contextualized later in the story. The second is introduction for nonfiction, a few pages that usher the reader into the subject matter. The intro goes over early events or information related to the main narrative, so the reader has a solid footing before they begin. A page where the author names the person or people to whom they dedicate their book and why. This typically comes after the copyright page. Well, the third is chapters. Every single book has chapters, right? Or at least sections, into which the narrative is divided. These chapters may not be designated by a chapter heading or appear in a table of content. Some authors start new chapters just by using page breaks, but if you don't use anything to break up your content, your readers will not be happy. Well, the next is epilogue for fiction. A scene that wraps up the story in a satisfying manner. An epilogue often takes place sometime in the future alternatively. If there are more books to come in the series, the epilogue may raise new questions or hint at what will happen in the next book. And the next is conclusion for nonfiction, a section that sums up the core ideas and concept of the text. Explicitly labeled conclusions are becoming less common in nonfiction books, which commonly offer final thoughts in the last chapter. But academic, these may still be formatted this way. The next is afterword. Any other final notes on the book can be written by the author or by someone they know. Next is postscript, a brief final comment after the narrative comes to an end, usually just a sentence or two. Example, Matthew did at sea in 1807, but his memory lives on. Last but not least is the back matter. The first is acknowledgements, a section to acknowledge and thank all those who contributed to the book's creation. This may be the author, agent, and editors, their close friends and family, and other sources of inspiration. The acknowledgements typically appear right after the last chapter. Next, about the author. This is where the author gives a brief summary of their previous work, education, and personal life. Copyright permissions if the author has sought permission to reproduce song lyrics, artwork, or extended excerpt from other books, they should be attributed here or may also appear in the front letter. Next, discussion questions, thought-provoking questions and prompts about the book, intended for use in an academic context or for book clubs. Next, appendix or addendum. Additional details or updated information relevant to the book, especially if it's a newer edition. Next, chronology or timeline. List of events in sequential order, which may be helpful for the reader, especially if the narrative is presented out of order. A chronology is sometimes part of the appendix. Next is endnotes, supplementary notes that relate to specific passage of the text and denote within the body by superscripts. Next, glossary may contain entries about individual character or settings. The glossary usually appears in alphabetical order. Next is index, a list of specialty terms or phrases used in the book along with the pages on which they appear, so the reader can find them easy. The index is also usually in alphabetical order. Next is biography or reference. List a comprehensive breakdown of sources cited in the work. Your biography should follow a manual of style. Luckily, it's easy to create one using free tools like EasyBib. Note that this is a formal list of citations, not a bonus reading list on your subject that will go in the afterword or appendix stories. Looking for the parts of front cover. As an example, here I have a book. This is the current favorite book of this month. Yep, this is the book with the genre self-improvement from David Brooks. As you guys know, David Brooks is the author of this book. And then the title of this book is The Second Mountain. Just for your information, the title of the books, it could be in the bottom of the books, the center of the books, or on the top of the books. As you guys can see, on the top of the books, there is a statement from the author, David Brooks, that explains that this is the second book from David Brooks. This is the second edition or the sequel from the other books from David Brooks with the title The Road to Character. And then looking for the design, this is my favorite design because it's just elegant. Look, so elegant and luxury. Well, looking for the design, there is a huge picture of mountain, which is very related to the title and also the content of this book. Well, that's the front cover. Now we'll move to the back cover. From this book, the back cover, there are first on the top of this book, there are barcode and the price, and then there are the endorsement and then the summary of this book. That's the front and the back cover of this book. By the way, the material of this book is hardcover. And then looking for this is the spine of this book, which I think that's all my presentation about textbook previewing. I hope it will be useful for you. Hopefully you are enjoying this video. Thank you very much for watching this video till very end. And as human being, I apologize to you if I have any mistakes. And see you in the next time.